Former Kaduna State Governor Nasir Ahmad El-Rufai has accused the Office of the National Security Advisor, headed by Nuhu Ribadu, of procuring thallium sulfate, a highly toxic chemical compound, and has demanded urgent clarification over the alleged transaction. El-Rufai made the allegation on Sunday in a post on X, formerly Twitter, where he shared a copy of a letter addressed to the Office of the National Security Advisor in Abuja. In the letter, he claimed that information available to opposition political leaders indicated that the Office of the National Security Advisor had reportedly procured approximately 10 kilograms of thallium sulfate from a supplier in Poland, describing thallium salt as extremely toxic and tightly regulated substances due to their potential health and environmental risk. El-Rufai said public safety, democratic accountability and trust in national institutions required immediate transparency. He requested clarification on the intended purpose and end use of the chemical, the identity of the supplier, and whether the importation was conducted under an existing chemical control or defense permit. So now joining us in our studio to discuss on the alleged thallium sulfate procurement is Salihu Mahmud, a security expert. Thank you for being here, Salihu.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you. So now, what are the potential security implications of the alleged procurement of thallium sulfate by the Office of the National Security Advisor?
You see, under this President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, the Office of National Security is trying to overlap its functions. Yes, I know that office advises Mr. President on any general security related matters. But when you are procuring this type of chemicals, are the chemicals for the Nigerian police? We need to know. Are they for the Nigerian Army, Air Force, Navy, DSS, or who? Because what I know is that the service agencies, starting from the Army, Navy, Air Force, Police, DSS, and all, they all have their heads. It lies on the either Chief of Army Staff, okay, maybe we need to put this chemical in certain areas where there is dominance of ISWAP, ISIS, Boko Haram, or maybe bandits, for them to do this and that, or Office of Chief of Naval Staff, or Air Staff, or Inspector General Police, or DGDSS. But with these allegations now, the NSA office procured it for what? The NSA office operatives do not go to fight bandits directly. Even if they are to go, they mix up with other uniform agencies because they have representation of each of the uniform agencies in their office. Under this dispensation, it appears the NSA office is trying to create its own uniform department, which ought not to be. What makes the Office of National Security Advisor is representation from Army, Navy, Air Force, Police, DSS, and others. They all have their representatives there. So if these chemicals are needed, did it go through the procurement process? Did it go through the two chambers of the National Assembly? Because there we have committees related to security. For example, you have committee on defense, you have committee, subcommittee on Army, subcommittee on Navy, subcommittee on Air Force, then committee on security and national intelligence, committee on police. So the issues are, if these allegations are investigated and they are true, I think Mr. President must call a spade because the excesses of that particular office, according to certain reports we are getting, is getting too much. Sometimes we need to tell ourselves what is right, when and how. The issues are, most of these bandits and insurgents sometimes, they live amongst the people. God forbid, you now go and put the chemicals into use, even though they've not explained to us which of the agencies is using it. Is it the Army Special Forces that are using it? Is it the Police Counter-Terrorism Unit that have found out that ISWAP and ISIS are in some places where the AK-47 RPG and other things cannot work on them? It now has to be with chemical. Globally, countries, according to United Nations Charter, biological warfare is condemnable, is kicked against, and is not something that is in the offing. So why should Nigeria, as a growing democracy, as a third world country, be an exception? Why the use of the chemicals, why the procurement? I think that is what Nuhu Ribadu himself, a retired AIG, must explain to Nigerians.
So from the security expert viewpoint, what steps should be taken to verify the claim of El-Rufai, made by El-Rufai regarding the alleged procurement?
The two chambers of the National Assembly have a duty because they have the constitutional role of oversighting. So these allegations, they should institute a public hearing. Yes, these are allegations made by former Minister of FCT, former DGBP, former Governor of Kaduna State. Let us investigate it. They can call the NSA, call representations of the security apparatus, IG, including their committee members. Let them interface, let them investigate. So it is time they institute a public hearing. And I don't think outside the National Assembly, the executive can constitute or maybe institute a commission of inquiry to look into. No, you cannot be a judge in your own case. The NSA is under the executive. So let the legislatures who have the mandate on oversighting then investigative things regarding issues that has to do with the law swing into action by instituting public hearing. Then let the various chairmen of the security-related committees also be members of such committees. At the end of the day, let them make the report public for us to know. If at the end of the day, the allegations are not true, then the former minister too should be sanctioned according to the law, because in this case, it is not yet Uhuru. Once you raise allegation and it is not substantiated and it is investigated to be false, then the law takes its course as well. Then that is where the DG, DSS or IG also have to come in by prosecuting the former Kaduna State Governor and Minister of FCT.
Okay, Salihu, in light of the office of the NSA's previous friction with Nasir El-Rufai, how do these public allegations affect trust in our security institutions, and what level of transparency is now needed to settle these concerns?
You see, for anyone that knows Malam Nasir El-Rufai and Nuhu Ribadu, they've been friends right from time. And sometimes when two friends fight, this is what becomes of it. The first appeal I want to make to Nigerians is elitist fight has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with giving us hospitals, good roads, schools, social security, and employment. If former Governor of Kaduna, Nasir El-Rufai, had scaled through the Senate screening and clinched the position of Minister of Power, I don't think these allegations will have been there. Sometimes no smoke without fire. So I think that particular annoyance, grievance is making him to also blow hot. But to Malam Nuhu Ribadu too, once you occupy an office, you should also go by tenets of the law, because there are certain allegations that is overusing. And there are also glaring evidences where you see in certain operations that are supposed to be done by the police, army, this and that, you also see, they say, operatives from Office of National Security Advisor, which ought not to be. People like General Ali Gusa have been NSA, it has not been like that. AIG Samaila Gozo have been NSA, it has not been like that. And host of General Abdullahi Mohammed of blessed memory and host of others. So I think his role as somebody who coordinates the security apparatus for Mr. President should further be capacitated. It should not overlap and go outside the purview of his constitutional functions and all stuff, because there are a lot of allegations and rumors going on that he's doing what he ought not to do, where sometimes he does the job that the Inspector General of Police is supposed to do. How on earth do you see NSA office bringing ICPC, EFCC, police and other, forming a committee to go and do something? What is now the responsibility of the Inspector General of Police? What is the responsibility of DG, DSS, EFCC chairman, ICPC chairman, host of others? Under this dispensation, it is happening, and it ought to stop, and it got to stop, because we want our democracy to strive and we want it to go according to provisions of the law.
All right. Thank you, Salihu, for being with us.
Thank you very much.